Hello, geometry scholars. Mr. Benzel here. This is Delta Math Proofs Level 1, where you're actually creating your own proof. So this is where we want to be working towards. And this is actually a pretty good one to start with. It's two triangles that are kind of next to each other. One feature that is really nice about Delta, especially if you're working on the desktop computer, is that if you put your mouse over the statements, it will actually highlight on the diagram what um, the thing is talking about. And one of the first things that I would do actually is I look at a academic vocabulary word. So all proofs, they start at the given. And this one we have that AB is congruent to CB, and we have that DB bisects angle ABC. So one thing that I would kind of do immediately is kind of define what that vocabulary word means. So if an angle is bisected, it creates two congruent, exactly the same angles. And when we do that, we're actually just going to kind of trace those two angles. Syntax does matter. So that's what we're going to do. But I'm just going to use my little highlighter here and trace it. So we could say that ABD and CBD are congruent to each other. So I just did that a little bit more. And if angles are congruent, I choose the second option to show that two angles are congruent. So I'm going to say that ABD and CBD are congruent. And one of my favorite hacks is that if we have an academic vocabulary word like bisects, well, guess what? It actually says an angle bisector divides an angle into two congruent angles. Clear this. There we go. All right. Then the next thing that we have is we have the angles congruent, and we have a side that actually is shared. So this side that we're looking at, which is BD, I'm going to kind of highlight that, is congruent to itself. So that's the reflexive property. So I could say that BD is congruent to BD. We are ever closer. So we have our three pieces of evidence now. So we're actually going to, at this point, have enough information to prove that the triangles are congruent. Let's kind of take a look at where we are right now. So we have side, angle, side. Now it's very important when you're working on these delta math proofs that you are consistent in your order in naming the triangles. So we are showing that the triangles are congruent. So we're going to say that triangle ABD is congruent to triangle. So A matches with C. B is kind of in the same position. D is kind of in the same position. And we said SAS for that. We'll try that. And then it's finally good to take a look at what we need to prove. So we're trying to prove that angle A is congruent to angle C. And we actually have enough information now to make that argument. So I'm going to put that as my last step. So actually, if I put this on a mastery and I had blanks, I actually might start with putting what you need to prove at the very end. And if I look at statement 4 and I kind of read that in plain English, it says that triangle ABD is congruent to triangle CBD. So I'm going to type in congruent triangles. And sure enough, I get that acronym CPCTC. So you always do CPCTC after you show that the triangle is congruent. And we'll submit. And the good news is that we did get it correct. If you are struggling on a proof, it might be a good idea to, um, look at a few solutions. And Delta Math is very good at showing step by step um, how they go with the statements and reasons. And it's very good to kind of look across the proofs and see what do each proof kind of have in common, and are there any common patterns? And you'll be able to see a lot of the tricks of the trade when you do that.